What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be trying to answer the question that is, are the fighting nerds overrated? Now, obviously, UFC Paris is what prompted me to make this video. Two of them lost. Maurizio Ruffy and Kyle Barallo both lost to Benoit Saint-Denis and Nassourdine Imavov, respectfully. Ruffy got absolutely dominated and submitted, didn't really put up much of a fight. Kyle did put up a little bit more of a fight, but still got like 5-0'd. So both pretty bad performances from the two Brazilians and the two fighting nerds. And this weekend upcoming, we have Gene Silva taking on Diego Lopez, which should be a pretty awesome fight. And I wonder if what happened to these two this weekend may happen to Gene Silva as well. Now listen, MMA fans are crazy and they're very flip-floppy. They change their opinions literally every day and every time there's a fight. Now that Ruffy and Kyle lost, people are going to call them overrated and say that they're frauds. Ruffy got fraud checked. I've been seeing people say that a bunch, which might be true, but still. Just because you lose one fight doesn't make you a terrible fighter all of a sudden. Like, this was always going to be a possibility in the Ruffy and BSD fight because Benoit has great grappling and we haven't seen Ruffy's been tested. And for Kyle, I mean, we knew Nassourdine Imavov had really good takedown defense and he was definitely the better striker. So it kind of went exactly how you would have expected it to go. It's just bad stylistic matchups for these two fighters, and that's why they lost. They're still top contenders. I mean, Kyle Barallo is still a top 3 middleweight in the world and is still like 1 or 2 fights away from a title. And for Ruffy, I mean, he's got a hell of a lot more work to do, but he's still young in his career and he could still climb the rankings. Now, I don't necessarily think Gene Silva will lose to Diego Lopez. If I had to pick, I'd probably be backing him, but I might be a little more worried now, especially after seeing his reaction to Ruffy and Kyle. He's really invested in these guys. They're all invested in each other, and a loss like that may affect them all. Let's go through all 4 of them individually and try and determine which ones are overrated and which ones aren't. Starting up, let's go with Gene Silva because he's fighting this weekend. Kind of already said, I don't really think Gene Silva's overrated, to be honest. I mean, he's put on incredible performance after incredible performance. And even if he were to lose to Diego Lopez this weekend, I wouldn't take it away from him. Diego Lopez is a top 3 fighter in the featherweight division. No ifs, ands, or buts. Gene Silva, definitely not overrated. He honestly might be the best of the 4. Next up, Carlos Prates, definitely my favorite. He has had a great UFC career so far. Of course, he's coming off that spinning elbow against Jeff Neal, which was amazing, and he's booked to fight Leon Edwards in November, which could be a massive fight for his career. He has the 1 loss in his career to Ian Gary, which is not a bad loss at all. Ian Gary, also a top 5 welterweight in the world, one of the best fighters in the division. No shame in losing to him, and he actually almost came back and won that fight in the end. I think a lot of people like to poke fun at Prates because of the whole cigarettes thing, but honestly, I love it. I think it's awesome. I think he's a vibe, and his striking is absolutely brilliant. So for me, Prates is definitely not overrated either. Now on to Kyle Barallo, and like I was saying before, you can't really fault him for the Nassourdine Imavov loss. Imavov's a top 3 fighter in his division, and he showed that against Kyle. For me, though, I've always had my question marks about Kyle Barallo. I've never thought his striking was the most crisp or the most clean at all. I think he's the worst striker of the 4 in the group, and his grappling, while it has looked good at points and has been dominant, I always questioned whether it would work against the super high-level opponents because I think his entries are pretty slow. And against Nassourdine Imavov, that's exactly what happened. Kyle wasn't able to get any control or takedowns. For me, I'm not sure if Kyle's overrated. I think he got pushed to the top a little quick. I mean, let's be honest. His last fight before this was Jared Cannonier over a year ago. He had a year off. Should you really be fighting in a number 1 contenders fight after beating Jared Cannonier at this point? I mean, Cannonier's losing to everybody lately. So maybe he did get fast-tracked a bit. Maybe he might be slightly overrated if people think he belongs at the top. But if you don't think Kyle Barallo is a top 3 to maybe even 5 fighter in the middleweight division, then he's not overrated. And that leaves me with Maurizio Ruffy, and I would say, unfortunately, at this point, he's got to be overrated. Even I overrated him. I picked him to beat Benoit, and he completely disappointed me. Ruffy's striking is excellent. Some of the best striking in the world, honestly, but the grappling was never tested. You have to test it. Benoit tested it, and we found out how shit it really is. So Ruffy, for me, unless he gets a ground game, he's going to get torched in the UFC, especially at 155 with all the insane grapplers there. Everybody's going to be licking their chops if they get booked against Maurizio Ruffy. He's got to work on his grappling, and until he does, I don't know if I can put him in the same group as these other dudes, and if you do think he's up there, then he's also overrated. So yeah, all in all, I think pretty much 2 of them aren't and 2 of them are. So It's split down the middle, but either way, this is one of my favorite gyms. I think they have been great for the UFC. Everybody loves these guys. Whenever they fight, you know it's going to be a banger. So whether they're good, whether they're not, whether they're championship material, whether they aren't, they're great fighters and they put on a great show. Not everybody in the UFC has to become a champion. Yeah, it's everybody's goal, but other people in the company serve different purposes. Look at Nate Diaz. Look at Nick Diaz over the years. Look at Kevin Holland right now. There's other fighters who can make a name for themselves without a title, and I think the Fighting Nerds are exactly that. Well, there you guys have it. Those are my thoughts on the Fighting Nerds. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with me. Thank you all for watching this video. Be on the lookout for a Lopez and Gene Silva breakdown coming this week. Massive fight. Super excited for that UFC Noche card. And also, I'll probably do a little breakdown for Canelo versus Crawford as well, just because it's an amazing fight. I usually like to say there's only one amazing boxing fight a year, and this is it. So I'll do a breakdown for that fight as well. Thank you all for watching the video. Once again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next one.